Hello everybody, my name is Eric, and today I'm going to be trying out ReactOS, actually in Hyper-V. I had VMware here because I was just doing the setup, because I was going to do it in VMware, but I saw online that apparently you can do it in Hyper-V, and I think given this is a free and open source remake of Windows using Windows native hypervisor would be more fitting. Now, I think this is a really cool project because basically I showed Hello System a while ago, which I think is sort of a similar idea to this, but this is sort of the original remake, where you've got a free and open source remake of basically Windows XP that is designed to be sort of like wine. They made a whole operating system out of it. It's not based on Linux, it's completely original. It's based on clean room engineering, and a theoretical advantage it would have, although it's too alpha to really benefit from this so far, is that it can not just run Windows programs, but it can also run Windows drivers. So at some point in the far future, it could potentially be a drop-in replacement for Windows. Okay, Have I misconfigured something? Let's take a look. So I don't know why I keep closing out of this. If this is just not going to work, I'll give up on Hyper-V and go to VMware, but failed to stop. I don't know if this is due to the buggy version of Windows I have, or what, but you know, I gotta say, it's pretty impressive that let's just see that this doesn't have any Windows weirdness. And we're back. Now, something I just wanted to mention, because I recently reinstalled Windows, and I had a hell of a time booting back in my Arch Linux, and I thought maybe an update had broken my Arch Linux system, but actually, what broke it is that if you have a drive in your fstab on Linux and that drive doesn't exist, that messes up your boot process. So what had actually happened is, by reformatting the Windows partition, the Win drive, which is in my fstab on Linux, basically broke Linux. So it was nothing wrong with Linux, it was entirely Windows. So I'm going to copy the ReactOS file, and now we can try this in VirtualBox on Linux. The reason I couldn't use VirtualBox on Windows, in addition to just liking to use Linux when possible, is because if you have Hyper-V installed, oh, it's even smart enough to detect. That's interesting. Windows basically breaks other VM software. So now let's give it, I think 4 gigabytes is fine. We'll create 20 gigabytes. That's a bit low for something. Let's go for 64. Okay, still. And it opens on the other monitor, but that's okay, because I don't need to show this in the video anyways. So, please wait while the ReactOS setup. English, United States, enter. Yeah, I might not have even seen that, but that's okay. Format this as NTFS, because this is a Windows NT replacement. Hopefully that was the right decision. I like how it gives you a lot more progress than actual Windows installation does. Install the bootloader on the hard disk, MBR and VBR only, floppy disk. Yeah, I don't know what VBR is in this context. Okay. So, thought I'd make a video installing this because I wanted to test some malware on this as well, once we get it going. So, here we go. Enter. Okay. ReactOS. Installing devices. Something I've always liked. Okay, here you go. Here's all the people they're giving credit to. Because this is an original creation, but they built this on top of a lot of other open source projects. Sort of an interesting setup, because it's like, if ReactOS server, no, I want ReactOS workstation. Okay. That's cool. I wonder if you could use ReactOS as a Windows domain controller. Okay. ReactOS. Here we go. Classic. I mean, from the videos I've watched of ReactOS and how snowflakey it can be, this is so far a really impressive. Maybe I'm just early. I'm like, I haven't even been 5 minutes into the video, but so far I have to say I am genuinely really impressed. This reminds me of installing Windows XP, but it's a lot faster, because I used to install Windows XP quite a lot, and I remember it would take, even on good hardware, it would take a lot longer than this did. So we'll start with ReactOS. Now let's see if we can do something about installing a device may completely screw your computer. Okay, well, I reckon it'll be fine. So we're gonna install this. Okay. It's either gonna work or it won't. It'll be fun either way. So settings, now we can turn up our resolution. We can go all the way. Let's hope this doesn't completely kill the system like it did on BOS or the remake. The Haiku. Sorry, I had a bit of a Joe Biden moment, but here we go. We got programs, administrative tools. So let's see, device manager. So far, it's pretty solid. I would say pretty much as good as XP. Oh, that's a bit laggy, but that also could be, I think, did we only give this one core? I think by default, even if you have a lot of system cores, Windows... Yeah, but it's actually really efficiently... Oh, I misread that for a second. It's processor's 18, okay. Commit charge. I think this is a 32-bit operating system, so can only use 4 gigabytes, which is fine. It's only using 80 megabytes. It really doesn't need. So let's see. I think there's a version of Firefox for this. Accessories, maybe? Communications? No. Oh, it's got RDP. Wonder if this would like work with Windows XP. Okay, that's cool. Administrative tools, device manager, service manager, system configuration, games, startup, ReactOS applications. Oh, it's got a package manager. That's something that Windows until 11 didn't have. So that's interesting. Okay, so what do we want? We can have Firefox. So I assume this is the latest version that works. Let's install this. There's probably other browsers that would work, but there's always Pale Moon. If you want something spicy, very out of date, but kind of cool. There's also there's a fork of that I remember the developers got a bit pissed off about, but that brought that to Windows XP. Okay, so here's Firefox. Now let's see if this is good enough to watch a YouTube video. Is that something? Ooh, don't. I think that kills it, because this is basically Wine, so you can't run every thing that runs on real Windows, but you can run a lot of stuff. And I feel like in terms of malware, it's going to be a lot better because it has like the underlying Windows internal, so it doesn't need to know how Linux works. Let's just look at this video. Oh, and it even does this. I'll skip that. Now, rising my DWM setup. Let's see what resolution we can do on this. Feels like it's struggling a bit. Don't think the sound is working. Might actually be my fault. I remember I think I had something wrong with my whole setup in VirtualBox. Maybe not. Okay, this is like 1 FPS or AP. Okay, I wanna go nuclear. 4K 60. Let's do it. Do it. Yeah. No, we're not gonna play. Okay, let's do browser speedometer. That benchmark's always fun. I like it. The main thing I actually use this for is benchmarking VMs, because it gives you an idea of how good the overall VM is, not just the raw CPU. The next thing I'm gonna try is I want to see, can this run Cinebench? Now, if I'm feeling adventurous, I'm going to add more cores. And I know this is dangerous, because this is dangerous on real Windows XP. If you add more cores to an existing... Or, no, it's if you turn a uniprocessor, that is a system with one CPU and one thread, into a multiprocessor system, that can be a bit complicated even for the original Windows XP. So maybe ReactOS is going to handle it better, because it was made recently. Let's just see what we have going into this right now. System. Okay, processor. 1 core, no execution cap, 100%, acceleration, nested paging, of course, because this is ultra accelerated. How do we lose our VM window? Oh, it went behind this. Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to put this speedometer out of its misery, because that's clearly not working well. Well, it might also just be due to the ancient pre-quantum version of Firefox, which is... Like, Firefox, around the end of its lifespan pre-quantum, was just such a slow browser that I don't even I don't want to blame ReactOS. So we're going to go system, processor. Let's give this. Oh, invalid settings? Okay. I want to do something. I like to live dangerously. We're going to enable IO APIC on a VM that didn't start out live with IO APIC. If this was real Windows, this would completely destroy it. So let's find out what ReactOS does. System device. Okay, well, let's just try it. So maybe... Wow, this has made a lot of progress. Because I've heard all these different... And I've watched a few videos. Like, you do one thing on ReactOS, the whole system breaks. But no. This is quite honestly perfect. So far. I say props to the ReactOS team. Okay. Do we get our... Does it actually recognize my CPUs? Let's try device manager. Administrative tools, device manager. I know on Windows XP you'd have to do this. You have to replace... Update the UNI processor driver, and then you can choose the driver manually. Ooh, maybe not. Okay. Install driver from specific location. Choose driver manually. Why are we not allowed to do that? Search removable. Okay. So that's dangerous. But will that even do what I think it will do? It might not matter anyways, because we got all these different... So we have all these processors. Although that's really misrecognized, but that's probably... Because it thinks we have one... Well, that's the right number of cores. It thinks we have 1 gigahertz. Okay, I'd rather try and, rather than potentially ruining it, I'd rather try and find something that can take advantage of multiple threads. So let's go find Cinebench R11 works on Windows XP. Oh. If that used most of the CPU, that probably proves that we're not getting multi-threading. That might... Does it even support ReactOS multi-core? It might not even support multiple cores. Okay. So... Multiple processors are not supported at this time. Okay. So that's not... It's not my fault. But I still have to give them credit because... Enabling IO APIC on XP will bomb the system if you suddenly enable that on VirtualBox. But on this, it doesn't do that. So good work. So we'll save this and then we'll extract it. And we can see how, because a single 7980XE core should still... Okay, let me just go on my terminal. Sudo CPU power frequency -set -g performance. It's a command if you're using virtual machines on Linux, you should know. That disables any sort of throttling to save power, which if you're using VMs will dramatically increase the speed of your VMs. This is especially true if you're using a VM to game, but just something you should know. It generally just makes the system more responsive at the expense of power consumption. But I mean, if you're on a desktop, it's not really a big deal. Don't run that command on a laptop, like it'll destroy your battery life, but that's okay. Oh, right, and I was thinking I was gonna have to whine, but oh no, I don't, because this is ReactOS, so I don't need whine. This is Windows. This is literally Windows. But not quite, but... Okay, can we just close that? I'm gonna be so upset if it's a licensing that... Like, imagine it's the software actually works and it's the licensing that kills you. I know that, I don't think there's a 32-bit version of 15, but I know that 15 works perfectly under Wine. Okay. I know hard resetting ReactOS is supposedly dangerous, so we're gonna find out. Because that's pretty much crashed, and I'm going to try CPU-Z because I know that that also has a benchmark that can run a single thread, and we can see. Because in theory, I know I've run Cinebench under Wine, and it runs within a few points of Windows. If you have the right kernel, on Cinebench under Wine, it'll actually run faster than it would on Windows. So, okay. So, let's try CPU Z Windows XP. There's still a reasonably relevant version because CPU Z is used by extreme overclockers. We don't care. Add exception. Confirmed security exception. Okay. So, Vintage Edition. Yeah, this is the one we want. This is for 9X, but that'll work on XP. Confirm. Okay. Because extreme overclockers, oftentimes if they just want to get into Windows to validate an overclock, they like to use Windows XP. Because it was so much lighter. Okay. Do we have the benchmark? We do. Okay, we can compare. Wow, these are like a real loss from the past. Okay. So I actually, these are like all older than me. First CPU I had was like the Celeron equivalent of a Pentium 3, which might be something like that. So let's see how we compare. Okay, well, I'm just going to give that some time. Ooh. Nice. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. I would want to try that on a native system to see how much performance, because yeah, well, if that's a 200 megahertz CPU, that's more, that would imply about double the IPC. Okay, yeah, that's kind of, yeah, let's try some other ones. So maybe the AMDs were better. Oh, that's a 486. Okay, no, a 486. No. An AMD K6? That was a good CPU. I don't remember what year. Overdrive, a Pentium Overdrive. Okay, that's what we want. And this is a gigahertz processor. Probably not a very good one, but okay, that's still not. Those are some other from back in the day when there were other x86 manufacturers around. The AMD... Oh, there's an AMD 500. That's probably the best CPU on here. And we're almost 10 times better for a single 7980XE core, which feels like not enough, but I'm okay with that. That seems arguably reasonable. Okay, there's a README as well for this. So it came out in 2021. Configuration file. So you could set all of this. So actually, let's reopen this and look at some of the other stuff. Now this is a VM, but I'm sort of interested to see how the I don't think this would work on vanilla Wine. So what ReactOS does is even the low-level driver subsystem of Windows is recreated, which means that as much as the VM can, it can see like the ins and outs of my CPU. I can see how many. Okay, that's a bit glitchy, but still. Oh, did I just validate my 7980XE? The motherboard is VirtualBox. That's correct. My memory. Okay, it's not gonna know that because that's completely virtualized. But because I have 3600. Graphics, of course, doesn't recognize. Okay, okay, that's a bit buggy, but you know, really, for trying all this different Windows stuff, this was good. The graphics run reasonably well. Like I was expecting this video to be a bunch of stuff failing and crashing like I'd seen in some other videos, but maybe I just didn't do the right things, or maybe it's gotten a lot better. But I have to say, I'm genuinely really impressed with what is essentially a hobby product that has created a good Windows XP recreation that maybe in 10 years can actually be a viable system, because there's a lot of legacy systems out there that need a supported version of Windows XP, and I feel like if we give it another 10 years, ReactOS might be able to fill that gap. This is really cool, and I think it's amazing that people put the time out there to recreate this old system. That's going to be all for this video. I'll link this project in the description because I think it's cool. You should check it out. Bye.